Hi, everyone. So today is our seventh story in our domain about immigration. Today's story is called A Mosaic of Immigrants. The picture that you see here on the screen is a mosaic. A mosaic is a decorative design made from many small tiles, stones, or other objects placed together to form a pattern or a picture. Do you see this image of the bird? It's formed from tiny pieces of different colors of tile. Each individual piece has its own characteristics. Together, the pieces form a mosaic that is very interesting and beautiful. Think about all the many immigrants to the United States. Think of them as pieces of a mosaic. As we listen to our story today, I want you to think about how immigrants are a mosaic. Before we get started with our story, let's think about what we've already learned. Why do people emigrate from their home countries? If you said push factors, you're right. Some push factors that cause people to emigrate from their home countries are being unable to speak freely, not having the freedom to practice one's religion, not enough food or jobs, not being able to own their own land. Some pull factors that cause people to immigrate to the United States are freedom of speech and religion, more jobs and land available, and the possibility of living a good life. Remember the two major immigration centers that we've learned about. The one on the East Coast was called Ellis Island in New York Harbor. The one on the West Coast was Angel Island in San Francisco Bay. The Statue of Liberty was the statue that welcomed immigrants to the United States on the East Coast in New York Harbor. Remember Sean and Fiona? Well, their family immigrated to the United States because there wasn't enough food due to the potato blight. Remember Lin Wen and his father? They immigrated to the United States because they hoped to make enough money to live a better life. Think back to the motto of the United States, E pluribus unum. Remember, that means out of many one. For many immigrants, one nation is formed. The United States has been called the land of opportunity because there are many opportunities for job, opportunities to own land, and opportunities to have a good life. Some of the people that you've heard about in this domain who are immigrants are fictional characters. One character, Charles Steinmetz from Germany, was not a made-up character. Although some of these characters that you've heard about are fictional characters, they are like many real immigrants who came to America long ago, as well as even more recently. In today's story, I want you to listen to find out how immigration today is similar to and different from all of the immigration stories you have heard so far. But first, let's take a look at some of the words we're going to hear in today's story. There are 3 words that I want you to pay very special attention to in today's story. The first word is descendant. Descendants are people that are related to earlier ancestors. The next word is famine. Famine is a great shortage or scarcity of food. Famine. And the last word that I want you to pay attention to today is settler or settlers. Settlers are people who make their homes in a new area or in a new country. Let's begin our story, A Mosaic of Immigrants. The United States is a nation of immigrants. Many of the people who live in the United States today left their homelands in other countries to come to America. Those who are not immigrants themselves can probably point to ancestors who came to the United States as immigrants in earlier times. Some can point to a mother or father who immigrated to the United States. They might have a grandparent or a great-grandparent who came to the United States as an immigrant. Others have to reach back a little farther in their family's history. The people who have lived in North America the longest are the Native Americans. Their ancestors are the first known people to live in what is now called the United States. They made their way from Asia into North America thousands of years ago. The Native Americans spread out across North and South America. Today, many Native American descendants live all across the United States. For many years, the people of Europe did not know that the Americas existed. Europe and the Americas were two separate worlds. The voyages of Christopher Columbus in 1492 changed that. After these voyages, Europeans began to settle in the Native American lands of North and South America. The earliest immigrants came from a handful of countries in Northern Europe. Many came from England and Scotland, but there were settlers from other countries as well. Some came from France and Spain, others from Germany and the Netherlands. They settled down and made their homes in this new land called America. Many of the early settlers who fought in the Revolutionary War could point to ancestors from one of these 6 countries. Later, immigrants began to come to the United States from other countries in Europe. And later still, they began to arrive from many other parts of the world. Why do people become immigrants? Why do they leave the countries where they were born? And why have so many been drawn to the United States? Usually there is something that pushes immigrants out of their homelands, and usually there is something that pulls them to the United States. The Pilgrims who came to New England in the 1600s felt both pushed out of their homeland and pulled to the United States, although it wasn't called the United States at the time. They were pushed to leave England because the English king would not allow them to practice their religion in the way that seemed best to them. They were pulled to North America because they believed they would have religious freedom there. The Scottish people who came to America in the late 1700s also felt push and pull factors. Many of them were pushed off the land they farmed by the landowners who wanted to use the land to raise sheep. They were pulled to the American colonies because in America they could get farmland of their own. Many of the Irish who came to the United States in the 1840s and 50s came because of famine in Ireland. All across Ireland, potatoes went bad. They turned black and shriveled up. They were not good to eat, and many Irish starved. Many were pushed out of their homeland by the famine. The Irish heard there were farms and jobs in the United States. These stories helped to pull them to the United States. Many of the Chinese immigrants who came to the United States in the 1840s and 50s were pushed out of their homeland because they were poor. Some were pulled to the United States by the prospect or possibility of finding gold in the mountains of California. Others were drawn here by jobs building railroads. Most of these immigrants saw America as a land of opportunity. It was a place where separatists could have the opportunity to practice their religion in their own way. It was a place where the Irish would have an opportunity to work on the railroads or work in their communities and other jobs. Many groups were able to own their own land and provide for their families. Today, immigrants continue to come to the United States from all over the world, from countries such as Mexico, China, India, the Philippines, the Dominican Republic, Ethiopia, and Russia. Over 1 million immigrants arrive each year from these and many other countries. That is about 3,000 or 4,000 people every day. This read aloud will last about 15 minutes. By the time it's finished, 30 or 40 people would have immigrated to the United States. Today's immigrants no longer come into the United States through Ellis Island or Angel Island. Many immigrants today arrive by plane, though some come by boat, car, or even on foot. Many people leave their homelands because they are not able to live and work in safe and healthy conditions. Some people must leave their countries because of problems in the government or the dangers of war. People all around the world continue to view the United States as a land of opportunity. They see the United States as a place where people can make a new start in life. They can get an education, find jobs, and medical care, and create a new home for themselves and their families. They can contribute their skills and hard work to the communities in which they live. As in the past, new immigrants still face challenges or difficulties in their new country. Today's immigrants must still say goodbye to loved ones in their homelands and make new friends in the United States. It takes time to become familiar with new ways of living. The food, language, the weather, and ways of getting around may be different. Immigrants sometimes can use help getting used to a new life. It is still common for immigrants to settle in cities. Many immigrants move to places where others from their homelands have settled and can help the newcomers find jobs and places to live. Here, they can continue to share familiar customs and traditions, even as they learn other ways of doing things in their new country. In this way, new and delicious foods are introduced. People can enjoy a variety of festivals and traditions from other countries. New forms of art and music become part of our communities. Workers bring new ideas and skills to their places of work. This is a nickel. Do you see the words on the top of the nickel? They say, e pluribus unum. That is a phrase from the Latin language. Remember, it means, from many, one. One of the powerful ideas about the United States is that it is a country where people from many different countries join together and form one nation. From many, one. You can think of the United States as a mosaic of people from many different countries. The place where people come from is an important part of who they are. To the mosaic of each person brings interesting customs, new talents and ideas, and hard work. Like the tiles of a mosaic, each person contributes to making one nation. From many, one. There are many songs that celebrate the unity or oneness of the American people. One of them is "This Land is Your Land" by Woody Guthrie. You may know some of the words to this song. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island. From the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. California and the redwood forest are on the west coast. New York and the Gulf Stream waters are on the east coast. Most of America lies in between. What Woody Guthrie was trying to say is that the land belongs to all Americans. It is not just my country, it is also your country. Wherever you may live in the United States, and also wherever your ancestors may have come from. From the earliest Native Americans and those ancestors who came long ago from other continents such as Europe, Africa, and Asia through history until today, people have come to the land that is now the United States for many reasons. Many people who live in the United States today are immigrants themselves. Others have parents or grandparents who are immigrants. Still others have ancestors who they never knew who immigrated to America long ago. More than almost anywhere else on planet Earth, the United States is a nation of immigrants and their descendants, a beautiful mosaic of people who have come to America from all over the world.